Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. I thought we should jump on a live stream. Considering Bitcoin is now broken through 17K, it's at 17,230 at the start of the video. So I thought I'd just hop on, take a look at what's going on, answer some questions if there are any, and go from there. So. Let me know if you guys have any questions. We'll just take a look at what Bitcoin's doing. 17,240 now. Let me just post this in a couple different places. And we will jump in. How's everyone doing? Yeah, I gotta slow it down. We can't have Bitcoin going up too quickly. Let me post this in a few different places. All right, let's take a look. So Bitcoin is now at 17,266. It's a great time to be in crypto, right? I mean, again, just we'll put on the regression band just so you guys can see it. But yeah, I mean, again, this is why we're here. We're here to take advantage of the bubbles when they form. We know that they will form. We don't know exactly when they'll form. But once they do form, we want to make sure we're ready for them. So now, I mean, I think a lot of people here that are watching the show probably were watching it back when we were covering all this back at a few $1,000s. So, this is why getting in at these levels near the fair value is so important, because you're already up 2 or 3x, right? You're already up 2 or 3x from where you got in if you were buying at these levels over here. And even more so if you're buying back at like $3,100, we're already up at I mean, we might be pushing 18K soon. So don't mistake that, though. Like, I guess don't mistake the general idea that we are in a short-term bubble. Now, with that said, I mean, it could go a lot higher, right? I mean, we could easily push higher. You've seen how substantial some of the bubbles we've had in the past have been, right? I mean, we've had bubbles that took us significantly higher than where we are now. I mean, if you look at, say, like the tail end of this bubble in 2017, I mean, we hardly got any weeks of where it let up, right? It seemed to mainly just keep going up. So looking at it now, I mean, we know that Bitcoin could easily push higher. It could push to 18K. It could even go up to 20K. It could go higher than 20K, right? I mean, there's really no telling where these bubbles can take us. And so that's what you just have to remember, right? We don't know where it's going to go, but we're going to follow it every step of the way. If you take a measured move, again, from the fair value in 2019 to the wick, it took us above the fair value 200%. Here, we're actually only above it by about 66% or so. So, I mean, that gives you an idea to some degree. It's not like the perfect measure or anything, but it gives you an idea to some degree of how impressive the run in 2019 to 14K was. Because we were very, very much ahead of schedule. Very much ahead of schedule at that time. So, with that said, I mean, I don't need to go through all the charts. We did a live stream yesterday. We've been posting a lot of videos. If you guys have some questions, we can try to talk about them. Yeah, altcoins probably aren't doing so well. Remember, when Bitcoin goes parabolic, altcoins will likely bleed against Bitcoin, and sometimes they'll bleed against USD too. Max says before you said that we wouldn't see 20K this year. I mean, I think the general idea is we won't see a sustainable 20K. I mean, the idea that we could go to 20K from 10K in 6 weeks and then sustain that level is probably not very likely. Um, so I would take that into consideration. If we do go to 20K, I don't think it would be sustainable in the long term. Just like 14K wasn't. I mean, this move to 14K back in 2019 was not sustainable. Whereas now, I feel like 14K could theoretically be sustainable if we were to go back down to it. Going up to 20K from here, I mean, so from where we currently are to get to 20K, we're talking another modest 18% move or so. But that would ultimately be from the bottom of the wick. It would be over 400% since March. I do think we will have a pullback at some point, because again, even if you think that we're going to peak in 2021 at like 100K or something, we still would likely have these corrections back down to the 20-week moving average, right? I mean, we probably would still have those, and we've been over the 20-week more than we are now, even in the last cycle. If you just take a quick look, during the last cycle, we made it. I mean, here was 58% above it. Here was 66% above it, which is basically where we are now. This one took us around 69% above it. Let's show the price minus the 20-week over the 20-week. Let's see where we are. So we'll draw a line from our current level. Actually, I'm going to go to the daily time frame so we can see this a little bit better. Oh, well, that switches it. I got to switch back to weekly because I don't actually have it hard-coded in to be weekly. So let's just draw a line from where it currently is over. So you can see here we are at this far above the 20-week. We've had several short-term bubbles that also took us to this point. This one in 2015 took us slightly higher. This one in 2016 took us a lot higher. And then the three last major mini bubbles before the final blow off top took us significantly higher. So those are those three major last bubbles above the 20-week before the major blow off top at 20K. So in the grand scheme of a market cycle, I mean, we're still all the way down here. But remember, the one in 2019 took us a fair amount higher than the 20-week moving average. But you can see the last cycle we had several tops near this level. Okay, I can't tell you guys what's going to happen in the short term. I'm just showing you what happened during the last cycle around these points, right? I mean, can we push higher? Yes, we can push higher. We've done it before. Could we be getting near a local top? Yeah, it's possible. But I just wanted to show you guys that. Yeah, so what other questions do you have? In Riley 22 says, is it likely we'll break the 20-day moving average? I don't really talk about the 20-day moving average that much, so I don't really know. I mean, it should easily break the 20-day moving average. The 20-day moving average is something that's broken all the time. Someone says, do you have money in Bitcoin yourself? Yes, of course I own Bitcoin. Yeah, I suppose we should probably quickly look at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. again, I mean, we're still on schedule to some degree, right? The idea that it's a good buy, Ethereum's a good buy with Bitcoin in December. This will be the 6th year in a row that that trend has played out, and it seems like it's playing out for the 6th time. So, I mean, a lot of times it's just patience, right? I mean, I don't think you should try to time the bottom because I'm accumulating Ethereum now, but in terms of waiting for an actual turnaround point for Ethereum against Bitcoin, I think it's just it requires patience here because we've seen exactly when it turns around in the past, right? Here it turned around in January. Here it also turned around in January. Here it started turning around in December, right? And then it continued on up in January. This was in 2018. This is why I always say that buying Ethereum with Bitcoin in December typically is a good thing. This one, it rallied up to, by January, it had rallied up to, I think, like 50-60% or so. This move here, you can see the bottom in the 4th quarter came in December, and then it rallied up in January and February, about 60% or so. So now we're essentially setting ourselves up for the same thing, right? We're essentially setting ourselves up for the same thing, and we'll be in December in just a couple weeks. So just take that in consideration. Until Bitcoin volatility cools down, this ratio is likely not going anywhere except down or sideways. Down or sideways is likely where this ratio will go until Bitcoin volatility cools down, and there's just no way it can cool down this quickly. I mean, it's at 17.3. It's not like tomorrow, if it's at 17.3 again, Ethereum is going to, to break back up to a valuation of 0.04 against Bitcoin. Yeah, it can have a day where it does well, but the trend is not going to change. The trend is likely not going to change until Bitcoin cools off, and Bitcoin does not show any current signs of cooling off. There's no current signs of Bitcoin cooling off. It's not moving sideways. It's not printing weekly candles going sideways. It's not going down. It's not doing anything like this where it's coming back down, where we might think, okay, maybe it's going to cool off and then find support somewhere and then go sideways. It's not going sideways. It's just going up. And so because Bitcoin is frankly just going up, as we said before, the market is just going to sit back and watch, right? That's all that's going to happen. The market's going to watch what Bitcoin does, and most everything else. Yes, I'm sure you can find an altcoin that's an exception to the rule, but most altcoins will bleed against Bitcoin during this time. And we've said, you never chase a pump, but you must always be ready for it, and that includes Bitcoin. And it's nice when Bitcoin does it because it's special in a way. It redefines the market to a large extent, right? There's various phases of the market cycle, and Bitcoin redefines where we are within that market cycle based on is it above the 20-week? Has it rallied significantly? Is it above its prior all-time high? Is it moving sideways? This is what controls the market, and that's just something to if you haven't seen it before, right? If you're new to the market and you were focused mostly on altcoins back over the summer, and you're wondering why would anyone own Bitcoin? Well, it's great times like this that show exactly why having Bitcoin is important. It's because when Bitcoin moves, the rest of the market typically sits still. Remember, if you guys like the content, to subscribe to the channel and also give the video a thumbs up. We have 600 viewers and only 50 likes, so make sure you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you guys want to follow this stuff every step of the way. Let's also put on the Regression Rainbow, just take a quick peek as to where that is. All right, so we are at the top here. And remember, this regression band is where we spent a ton of time. I mean, an absolute ton of time during the last market cycle. Okay, if you were to take a measured move from when we first got into this band until we left the band. Sorry, I'm drawing the wrong thing. Actually, I'm going to keep that in a little bit. So we're going to move that over here for safekeeping. But if you take a measured move from when we, let me also grab the price. So we first get into the band here. By the time we left it, Bitcoin had increased 556% over 756 days. And so in this cycle, when we first entered it, we're going to ignore when we came out and went to the peak of the next band. Let's just suppose we didn't, then we would have been in it around 735 days and have increased around 234%. So we've been in it the same amount of time if you exclude this bubble back in 2019. If you don't exclude that bubble, then we haven't been in it nearly as long, because you can see that we were out of this regression band for maybe about half a year or so, or a third of a year, around 140 days in that ballpark. But then we actually popped back above it for a few weeks and then came back down. So we've been in it for a long time, and then we also came below it during the March capitulation, and we were below it for 56 days. Again, this is not, I mean, these are imaginary lines. I don't want you guys to get the impression it's anything more than that, but it's just to try to get a gauge of what the price is doing. It probably looks better on this chart, where you can actually see it go back even further. So this was our general support in our lead up to the major bull market in that phase. This was our general support in that market cycle. Here's the first one. So, I mean, you could argue that this has been this one too, because of how much time we have spent in it. But we're now nearing the top of it. So if we zoom in, you can see we came to the peak of this band 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. We came to it 6 times in the last market cycle before breaking above it. This market cycle has been very different because we already broke above it back in 2019. We broke above it and we came up to this regression band, and then all the way back down to the bottom of this one. By the way, these were fit well before this. I mean, I've been showing these on the YouTube channel for a while. But yeah, we're back at the top of this one, and I just want to zoom in. We're getting close to I guess we're not quite at the top yet. The top is about 17,500 or so. So we have a little ways to go to theoretically be at the top of it. I mean, obviously we could blast through it. It doesn't really matter, but I just wanted to show you guys where we are. If we were to go to the next band, to the peak of the next band, then that could theoretically take us to close to $30,000. Now that would be quite impressive if we were to go to $30,000 in the short term, because we know that these short-term bubbles can exist in crypto. And so a $30,000 would be equivalent essentially to, as this shows, to $14,000 about 16 months ago. And as I said before, this light green band is probably, we don't know for sure, right? We don't know for sure. That's probably where the next peak will be. But not yet, right? Further off into the future, because you can see that as I showed, we dropped 2.5 log lines each peak to peak. So, I mean, again, it's somewhat hand wavy. We could easily not obey that rule, but another 2.5 would put us in this band. But if we reach it much further out, like way over here, then we'll be a lot higher than the band currently is, because at present time this band only ranges from 30,000 to 50,000, which also corresponds to this lower regression band here. So if you hide the rainbow, the bottom of this band, which is fit to which is fit to the peak data, is the lower bound on it is approximately $50,000. So Bitcoin's now at 17.3. It looks like the effect of the live stream is not taking place today. Normally when I do a live stream, the price of Bitcoin kind of takes a backseat for a while, but right now it's not. So if we overlay the last cycle time, of course, yeah, we actually can't do it because the slope is not the same, so we won't be able to do it. But you can just kind of overlay it and see how at least the price compares from when we entered the band. That's essentially the difference in the price from when we first entered the band. But of course, this is a relative thing, not an absolute. Yeah, and if you guys are confused about the BLX, why it shows 16.7, it's just because it's showing yesterday's close. Okay, yesterday's close. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoy the content, and give the video a thumbs up. Many YouTubers talk about this Ethereum Bitcoin turnaround. Is it somehow unrealistic that this will really happen when everyone is betting on that? I mean, maybe it's a decent point. Again, you probably could have said the same thing last year, because we talked about this trend last year, and I imagine other people were talking about it as well, and it still happened. So I don't know. I mean, it's a decent question. I honestly don't know if other people are talking about it. Are other YouTubers talking about a potential Ethereum turnaround against Bitcoin coming soon? I haven't really had time to go through them. I mean, the questions of any pullback soon, we don't know, right? We don't know when the pullback's going to come. This is the whole point of the channel, is recognizing that we are not intelligent enough to know where the pullback will come, because it really doesn't matter what we say. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is the only one that will dictate where it turns around. And I still think, I mean, it will turn around at some point, and we will come back and revisit the 20-week, but where that happens, that's anyone's guess. I mean, in 2019, it took us all the way to 14K before coming back down. In prior cycles, we've seen similar moves above the 20-week before it came back down. Some of them reached higher than others. But ultimately speaking, we came back down to the 20-week. I mean, we have to come down to it at some point, because if we don't, it implies that the price of Bitcoin just increases forever and never retraces. And as much as many of us would like that to be the case, I think even the most how do I say it? The people that are the most aggressive in terms of what they think Bitcoin will do, even they'll concede that at some point it would correct, right? So the only way that it doesn't go back to the 20-week is essentially if it never has a correction or it never cools off. Because if it just cools off, the 20-week moving average will catch up. Someone says, do you think some people are going to mistakenly identify this as the next huge spike? I mean, maybe, but we also had one in 2019 too, that brought us back down. I'm not saying we're going to go back down. I mean, I think that $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 Bitcoin is a thing of the past, and arguably anything less. I mean, you could say that there's a good chance. There's no definitive conclusion here, but you could argue that anything below 10K Bitcoin is the thing of the past. We certainly don't know yet, but we'll see how high we go. And I'll remind you that anytime Bitcoin pumps, the narrative is always the same, right? I mean, no matter when it does it, the narrative is always the same: is that it's never going to correct. It's going to go up forever. Everyone is longing Bitcoin, and it continues on in that fashion. You'll see people say the buying pressure is through the roof. It can't come back down. It can't correct. It's just going to go up ever. Have you seen the institutional money? Have you seen all the money pouring in? Yeah, it's great, right? And all that makes sense and explains everything until you wake up one morning and it's down 20%, and then you're like, oh crap. Yeah, I mean, that stuff can disappear overnight. So remember, this is great. This is fun. This is why we're here. We're here because Bitcoin does stuff like this. But there will come a time during this market cycle, many times in fact, where we will see 10, 20, 30% corrections, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Even if Bitcoin were to drop let's say it were to drop 20% from here, it's still at 13,500. That's crazy because like 6 weeks ago, we were below that price. So you can see how quickly we have moved up. Remember, if you guys like the content, to subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 50,000 subscribers. There's a snowball's chance I get there today because I think I'm at like 49,400 subscribers. So if we get 600 subscribers today, I'll get to 50,000 subscribers. Also, give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. Baby Yoda says, never in a Bitcoin bull market has there ever been signs for Bitcoin ATMs at everybody's local 7-Eleven. This time is different. You'll see this in every bull market, every bubble that has ever formed in like the history of bubbles in any asset class. It's always this time is different, right? I mean, that doesn't mean there's always going to be some differences, but the narrative is always the same, right? This time is different. I mean, I'm bullish over the long term, right? I mean, I'm very bullish. I think that Bitcoin will go to six figures over the next few years. But I just want people to be pragmatic about this and recognize that it will correct at some point. I don't know if it's going to be at 17,500, if it's going to be at 18K, 19K, 20K, 25K, 30K. I don't know where it's going to be. But it will correct at some point, and we will come back down before, in my opinion, before the major blow off top, right? I mean, this is still a move to the prior all-time high, and we haven't even gotten to the all-time high yet. And historically speaking, it's not until we get to the prior all-time high that Bitcoin really goes parabolic. So right now we're somewhat going parabolic just to get to the prior all-time high. So it is interesting to see, we're going parabolic to get to the prior all-time high. Let's draw a line at that prior all-time high over. So you can see we are getting pretty close to it, but this is a pretty significant rally to get there, right? A pretty significant rally to get there. Yeah, Matt Zielinski asks a decent point. All-time high of market cap or price? Because if you actually consider the market cap, it's different because the market cap is based on the supply, and the supply of Bitcoin has gone up since 2017. So an all-time high of market cap would actually come sooner than an all-time high of the price, which is actually also it's notable, right? This is something you should at least note in your mind, that we will get to the all-time high of market cap comes before the all-time high price because we have more higher supply of Bitcoin now. I actually haven't calculated it. I don't know exactly where that is. Does anyone know? I don't remember off the top of my head what price we would need to get to a prior all-time high in market cap. Does anyone know? Someone says we're bumping around the price to reach all-time high market cap right now. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of numbers in the chat. I'm seeing 17.5 and 18K, 18.4. I don't know. It's kind of exciting. I mean, it's really exciting watching the price. I mean, like, do you guys back in 2017 when Bitcoin reached 20K, things were just crazy, right? I mean, things were crazy at the time, and now 3 years later, here we are flirting with history. Right? We're flirting with history at this point because we're now at we're a stone throw away from the prior all-time high. I mean, 20K is really not that far away. It's like a 20% move from here. Um, I mean, so we're a stone throw away from it. So we are. If we continue to do these live streams like every day, hopefully we'll usher in history as we watch the price of Bitcoin go above the prior all-time high. We'll see if it holds, right? I don't think it will, but again, you never know. You really never know how high these bubbles can go. We have no idea. When FOMO kicks in and bubbles get going, it's really hard to know how high they will go. The main tool that I would use to try to predict a top of a bubble would be our upper regression band fit to the peak data. But if it bubbles in here like it did in 2019, then we according to this chart, right, it's going to be harder to know. Now we on the premium, remember there is the premium list, which we use the risk metric to identify this stuff. But just looking at the regression line, if it's peaking somewhere in between this region, then it's really hard to know exactly where it will go, because when it went to 14K back in 2019. We were essentially between. I mean, it's a logarithmic scale, so it's not, you can't just measure it as simply as maybe we would like to. But remember, if you guys do like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 50,000 subscribers. We're almost there. I think we're at 49,400 the last I checked. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and help get us to 50K. And also give the video a thumbs up. All right, so you guys are asking about some other coins. I mean, Ethereum, yeah, Ethereum's moving. It's a 474. So what, guys? So do we, I don't know about you guys, but is it worth getting out of bed for Ethereum at 475? In my opinion, no, right? This is playing in the sandbox for Ethereum right now, because Bitcoin has left Ethereum in the dust the last couple months, right? I mean, completely left it in the dust. And so a 475 Ethereum, I understand, is attractive for a lot of people. However, this is not what we're looking for, right? We don't even care about this. I mean, this is a rounding error compared to where it should theoretically go. So a 3%, 475 for Ethereum, honestly, not even worth getting out of bed for. What we want to see, again, is the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio change, because this is what justifies holding Ethereum in the first place. If all Ethereum is going to do, and by the way, I'm very bullish on Ethereum. I think Ethereum will yield better returns than Bitcoin. So don't get me wrong, right? I just want people to look at this from a different perspective, because what I find, the longer you've been in crypto, the more you appreciate the ratios of coins against Bitcoin. If you haven't been in crypto as long, you tend to think of things in terms of their USD valuation. Let me know if you've kind of experienced that as well. Like when you first get in, you think of everything in terms of USD. Then after a few years, you realize how important it is to consider things in their Bitcoin ratio. Let me know if anyone else has experienced this, right? I mean, I think it's a fairly common thing that people go through. You first value things in terms of USD. Then you recognize after some period of time, what's the point of valuing Ethereum in USD? And you might say, well, why not? Why can't we value Ethereum in USD? Well, you can, of course you can, but the point is, Ethereum has a lot more volatility than Bitcoin, which in quantitative finance, if you have a lot more volatility, you have a lot higher risk. Therefore, why would you hold a coin that is more risky than Bitcoin if Bitcoin is going to give you better returns. Okay? Now, this is somewhat unfair to Ethereum because as measured from the low, from the wick in March, Bitcoin is up a modest 350%. Ethereum beats Bitcoin. This is why we hold it, right? I mean, from the bottom to where we currently are, it's up over 400%, 420%. I'm sure a lot of you guys will get a field day out of that. So Ethereum is up 420% since the wick low on halfway through March. Bitcoin up 350%. So that is what justifies holding Ethereum. Okay, it's not because on any single day Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin, because it won't. Because when Bitcoin moves, Ethereum is going to bleed. It's because we have high expectations for Ethereum, and we understand there's going to be extra risk associated with buying Ethereum. But not financial advice, I choose to take on that risk because I recognize that, you know what? We've had these phases every single time. Every single cycle, we have these altcoins or dead phase. I don't believe Ethereum's an altcoin. Feel free to complain about that in the chat. But for all intents and purposes, to me, Ethereum is not an altcoin. By the strictest definition, it is an altcoin. But when I talk about altcoins, I'm excluding Ethereum from what I mean when I talk about altcoins. Okay, I prefer to think of altcoins, right? If you're holding altcoins, which to me is anything but Bitcoin and Ethereum, I like to see how altcoins are performing against Ethereum. If they can't keep up with, well, first of all, see how they compare against Bitcoin. If they can't keep up with Bitcoin, then you're in trouble, right? You're really bad at picking out altcoins over the macro scale, or you're buying them at the wrong time, right? You're buying them when they're up 100x or 1000x, and you need to switch that thinking around. There's times to buy altcoins and there's times not to buy altcoins. I will say though that if Bitcoin, because of Bitcoin's distance from the 20-week moving average, right? Because it's so far from the 20-week moving average, and because we're getting close to the prior all-time high, there is a chance that altcoin season will be upon us soon. Okay, there's a chance. Now, does Bitcoin have to hold 20K for that to happen? I don't think so, right? I don't think it needs to for some altcoins to pump. There are certain altcoins that will need Bitcoin to sustain 20K, in my opinion, to start moving. There are some altcoins that would require it. However, imagine a world where, and again, there's a really good chance that Bitcoin runs to 20K, right? A really good chance this happens before we correct. We know this. It's possible it corrects before that. We're ready for that too. But there's a chance that it goes to 20K. Now, if it doesn't go to 20K, does that mean altcoins have kind of like lost their chance at a decent run? No, it doesn't. For Ethereum, even if Bitcoin were to correct back down, as long as Bitcoin stays above the 20-week, it's still, Ethereum is still very bullish. The only reason, in my opinion, that Ethereum has not pumped yet is because Bitcoin just will not chill the you-know-what out, right? Bitcoin just won't chill out. It is on fire. It's what's driving the market. Everyone wants to buy Bitcoin. For the most part, institutional money wants to buy Bitcoin. Institutional money is also sometimes buying Ethereum too, but institutional money is buying Bitcoin. New people to the space are buying Bitcoin. A lot of new people came in March. They're probably buying Bitcoin. A lot of these new people that came in March are loving this Bitcoin rally. You go through that phase where you learn about crypto, you get super excited about Bitcoin. Then you go through that phase where you get super excited about 100 different altcoins. Then you get excited about just a few coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe a couple other coins. And then you get to this final phase of back to Bitcoin. I like to think I'm a little bit more pragmatic in the sense that I think that the space in my own head is good enough for a few coins, right? 4 or 5 coins that I can actively invest in. I think only holding Bitcoin would be a mistake over a market cycle, because I do think the returns seen elsewhere will be better. But there's a time and place for those returns. And when Bitcoin was testing the 20-week moving average on the premium list, right, which we talk about, on the premium list, I was telling everyone, this is the time to focus on buying Bitcoin, because I can't tell you if it's going to go up or down, but whatever it does, it's probably going to outperform most everything else. The reason being, as we've said before, if it breaks down, alts will bleed. If it breaks up, alts will bleed. If it hugs the 20-week, most likely, alts will bleed. It's the proximity to the 20-week that makes it so that altcoins will bleed against Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin's volatile, altcoins will bleed as well. You might say this is simply not fair, because in the event that Bitcoin were to correct, in the possible event that Bitcoin were to correct, let's say it goes up to 18K or something and then turns around. In this event, guess what will happen? Alts will bleed. They'll likely bleed against Bitcoin, and they'll likely bleed against Ethereum or against USD. And you might say it's not fair, but again, life isn't fair. And as we said in the last in one of the last videos, like, build a bridge and get over it, right? Just figure out what the trends are. That's what the trend suggests. If Bitcoin bleeds quickly, alts will bleed against it, even though alts were bleeding against it on the way up. It's just simply how the game works. However, if it comes down and then moves sideways, right, and the 20-week is still way over here, this would be great for altcoins, right? This would be really great for altcoins. In the short term, they might bleed against Bitcoin, right? And they might bleed against USD during that pullback. And that can give you another great opportunity to get those altcoins, because the market might feel bearish. But remember, Bitcoin doesn't care about how you feel. Crypto doesn't care about how you feel. And money simply does not care about your emotions. If Bitcoin were to correct back down to, say, 14 or 15K, it's still very bullish. Even though it might feel bearish, it's hard. It can be easy to forget how far we've come in a very quick period of time. I mean, imagine instead of this rally, imagine instead of Bitcoin going up, and then if it does come back down, which it might not in the short term, but imagine if instead the price did this, like, that would be considered very bullish. But because it went up very quickly, and if it does come back down, a lot might consider that to be bearish. The nice thing is, if it does correct back down and go sideways, then altcoins could move significantly. Now, you have to be ready for the possible scenario that we go to 20K, right? You have to be ready for that scenario. And if that happens, I mean, if that happens, I would suggest watching the market like a hawk if you can, right? If you can. Because it's at this time, if it holds it, right? If it can come above it and hold it, it would be at this time that it can get really crazy in the altcoin market, right? I mean, extremely crazy in the altcoin market at this time. This would be when a lot of coins that might not typically move could make their moves, could make significant moves, and we just haven't. We're not there yet. We're still 20% away. The fact that we're getting there very quickly makes me somewhat cautious about how sustainable getting to 20K would be, and sustaining it. You guys know that I think it's going to take a lot longer to sustain 20K. Of course, given the recent bullish, sentiment in the market, I know a lot of you guys are very bullish now, and say to hell with the idea that it's going to take longer. We're going to get there. We're going to get there next month. I mean, it's possible, right? I'm not going to say it's completely impossible, but the idea that we get to 20K and hold it, whatever low probability that is, let's just suppose we do, because we want to cover all bases so that you guys are prepared, right? Well, that's significant, right? If this happens, it's significant. Ethereum, when Bitcoin got to the prior all-time high in January of 2017, that's when Ethereum made a major move, okay? A major move at that time. There's some other coins too that we can talk about that there's Litecoin. Let's talk about Litecoin. Litecoin's a coin we don't talk about that much, mainly because it doesn't tend to move until Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high. And you guys might say, oh, well, it's moved a little bit. Yeah, who cares, right? I mean, Bitcoin's moving too. When is it going to move substantially against Bitcoin? That is ultimately what's important, not a little a fun little 2-3% move, right? This is the macro downtrend of Litecoin, and I know you guys are interested in Litecoin because I'm seeing you guys talk about it on the channel all the time, right? It trends down until Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high, right? It did it over here too. You can see this trend down, and Bitcoin, once it got to the prior all-time high and sustained it in March, that is when Litecoin made that move. Okay, where are we now? Let's see where the ratio lines up. Because right now we're right here. and we had a local bottom right here. So in the event that I want you guys to be prepared, again, I've said before, I still believe in lengthening cycles despite any short-term bubbles. But at the end of the day, I can always, if it turns out that I'm wrong, I'll set my dignity aside so that you guys are prepared no matter what happens. So if it does sustain 20K in the short term, let's say it sustains 20K over the next few months, this could be a decent time, right? I mean, we could be getting close to a turnaround point for a lot of these coins. Litecoin is one. Again, generally speaking, Litecoin is not where I want my money. I have not had Litecoin in my portfolio for a long time. I mean, actually, that's not true. I sometimes have it because when people pay for the premium list, they've paid with Litecoin, and that's fine because I enjoy selling Litecoin. But I generally do not have Litecoin in my portfolio during this phase of the market. However, we are flirting with history in a sense because we are getting close to that Goldilocks zone. And it's possible that we're already there. It's possible that we're already there. Am I buying Litecoin right now? No. I'll just make that clear. I'm not buying it right now. If you guys want to, you can. It's certainly a lot less risky to buy it here than it was to buy it up here. The downside is if you do buy it now, so just I want you to be aware of the risk associated with it. The downside, and remember, there's no free lunch, right? There's no guarantees in this market. If you see a nice return, it's because you took a calculated risk and it paid off. It's not about being lucky, in my opinion. It's about you taking a risk and it paying off. So, am I buying Litecoin right now? No, I'm not. Mainly because Bitcoin volatility is really high, and there's no guarantee that it's going to sustain the prior all-time high. It could, and if it does, then I might change my mind, right? I mean, I would personally, if I, and this is a big if. I don't know yet if I'm going to buy Litecoin or not, but if it does turn around and we see Litecoin come back to here, and then Bitcoin sustains the prior all-time high, and it's holding it, we start to see altcoins boom. I would personally rather buy Litecoin up here than to gamble on it right here. That's just my opinion, because I want to see Bitcoin get to the prior all-time high first, or at least get closer to it. Also, I think the manner in which we've gotten to the prior all-time high is very bubble-like for Bitcoin. So that's why I want to be a little bit cautious with some of these coins. Like I don't just want to go throw money at coins that pump when Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high and sustains it, because there's no guarantee that it does. Because if it doesn't, this pump right here that you're seeing with Litecoin is most likely people trying to front run this move, right? People trying to front run a theoretical pump against Bitcoin. And it very well could be the start of it, right? It could be the start of it. You can see that, over the macro scale, this pump is not anything to write home about. But again, we would want to see Bitcoin sustain 20K to get there. Now, if you're not, if there's always a possibility that the market behaves differently this time around, right? Maybe people are wising up to the fact that these things tend to pump once Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high. If people are wising up to it, maybe people try to front run it a little bit. And therefore, this could be the start of that rally. However, what if, and I just want people to consider all possibilities, because again, there's no free lunch. What if it's not the move to a sustainable 20K? What if this is not the move to a sustainable 20K, right? If it's not, then, and Bitcoin does correct, right? I'm not saying it will, but just consider the possibility that if it does correct, then this will be completely false, right? And will likely continue on down further. So just consider that, right? Consider that possibility when buying Litecoin. Is it over the macro scale? Is buying at this level probably okay? Yeah, it's probably okay if you're looking at its Bitcoin valuation. Probably okay. Is Ben buying it right now? No, I'm not. I'm not buying it right now. Might I buy it if Bitcoin continues to go to 20K? Maybe. And it will depend on how quickly we get there and if we can sustain it. I mean, imagine Bitcoin. Let's show a possible example of a manner in which Bitcoin could get to a sustainable 20K. And the first one I'll show you would be the most bullish, right? This will be the most bullish way that I could see us sustaining. And by the way, this will just be if we repeat last cycle. So if Bitcoin comes up and tests 20K in early January, you can see that Bitcoin, if you look at the last market cycle, you look at the all-time high here, and you go over, let's draw it over and then zoom in. You can see that Bitcoin had a rally to the prior all-time high first week of January, I believe it was. So this wick that essentially took us to the prior all-time high, I drew this line above it. It was below 1200. This wick was the first week of January, okay? When did Litecoin pump last market cycle? Okay, when did it pump? This turnaround point came in March. Okay, so this one came in mid-March, not January. You can see that in December we had some spikes, right? I mean, if you zoom in, Litecoin had some bullish weeks where it spiked up. Here's one in January. Here's one in December, right? Here's a nice spike in December. The trend stayed down until Bitcoin really sustained 20K. If you go back and look, Bitcoin didn't sustain 20K. It will, first of all, this one was not even above the prior all-time high, right? We just simply went to the prior all-time high and instantly came back down. And because we instantly came back down, let's see what happened. So January 2nd of 2017, what did Litecoin do? So what did Litecoin do January 2nd of 2017? So January 2nd is right here. You can see that it was a down week for Litecoin during that time because Bitcoin didn't sustain it, right? I mean, it flirted with it, and then it had like a 30% correction or 40% correction, and it said like just kidding, right? It came up here and said just kidding, and it retraced 37%. Litecoin bled against Bitcoin, right? We're looking at the Litecoin Bitcoin valuation, not Litecoin USD. So Litecoin bled against Bitcoin. We don't care. I don't care about Litecoin USD right now, right? I just care about Litecoin Bitcoin. So it bled against USD during that time, or it bled against Bitcoin during that time, and it did not make a turnaround point until March 6th. So what happened March 6th? Let's take a look. March 6th, what happened? What was going on March 6th? You guys see it, right? I mean, that was Bitcoin. Litecoin turned around against Bitcoin once Bitcoin first went above the prior all-time high. Okay? Bitcoin goes above the prior all-time high in February of 2017, was there in March of 2017, the first couple weeks of March in 2017, and it's at that point that we had the first green candle that was the beginning of that move. Okay? And then we can go back and look and say, okay, well, when did Bitcoin sustain it? Well, it got to it again on April 3rd of 2017. You could argue this was basically sustaining it, right? What's a few percentage points among friends? I mean, it was right on the prior all-time high for these three weeks, more or less, and then it rallied up, and it started rallying in April, and as we get into May, that was when Bitcoin started to rally again. So it went all-time high, retracement, higher than all-time high, retracement, all-time high, sideways, excuse me, and then rally. Okay, so what did Litecoin do? It did not start this turnaround point with Bitcoin until Bitcoin was above the prior all-time high and was moving sideways above the prior all-time high. Right? Bitcoin was moving sideways above the prior all-time high, more or less. Yeah, it had a wick below, but it had weekly candles above the prior all-time high. That's when the turnaround point came for Litecoin. And then it continued the rally on until, Bitcoin was above the prior all-time high and moving up, and then Litecoin continued on up. So that's just diving deep into Litecoin. The only reason I'm doing it is because we have said many times that Litecoin is a coin that will likely start to make a move whenever Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high. And we're at least getting close to that point. Remember, though, that if Bitcoin gets to 20K and comes back down, then it's probably not good for Litecoin with regards to its Bitcoin valuation. I'm not talking about its USD valuation. I don't care about its USD valuation. We need, if you're holding Litecoin, you need to justify why you're holding it. And to justify why you're holding it, it needs to perform better than Bitcoin. So I hope that segue was useful to a few of you. I know a lot of you probably don't care at all about Litecoin, which is fine, right? I mean, I'm not buying it right now either. But I know by the comments that there's plenty of you that have been interested in Litecoin, so at least that will help answer some of those questions. Remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. Help me get to 50,000 subscribers and help me get to like 500 likes on the video. But yeah, make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And by the way, the same type of thing goes for XRP. Now, I mean, we'll quickly pull it up because I know the questions are going to start flying if they already haven't. So the same thing, XRP. There's always been YouTubers and crypto Twitter that will shill XRP anytime Bitcoin pumps. But remember, more or less, the same thing applies to XRP. When did this move happen against Bitcoin? So the first turnaround point was March 6, 2017. Okay, that was the first turnaround point that really started the rally. It was March 6, 2017. You look at Bitcoin again as a reminder, March 6, 2017, Bitcoin was above the prior all-time high. That was the turnaround point for XRP. And we said, right, it'll probably bleed until that point. And we've been saying that for years now. All the way from up here saying it's probably going to bleed until Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high. If you look at where we currently are and draw a line over, that's where we are. If we were to go all the way down to the bottom where we went last time, that's where we would need to go. So if we were to go all the way down, then we're talking another pretty significant drop of XRP against Bitcoin, which I don't know if that would happen, but we're definitely getting into closer to the territory. Again, I'm not buying XRP right now. If you buy it, that's fine, right? It's a calculated risk that you can take. I'm not buying it right now. Typically, the turnaround point for these types of coins is when Bitcoin is above its prior all-time high and not just pushing up against it and immediately retracing back down 30% the next day. So what do you guys think is going to happen? When do you think Bitcoin is going to get to 20K? Do you think it's going to be November, December, January, February? When do you think? And I'm not asking when do you think it will sustain it. When do you think it will touch 20K? When do you think? See a lot of people saying tonight. So a lot of people saying December. Someone says at this rate tomorrow. Let's actually look. Let's take a closer look at what this rate is. Let's look at the 1 hour chart. Okay, we're going to zoom in on the 1 hour chart and figure out what this rate means. So if we zoom out here, this is our trend since October. Okay. Now, if you say at this rate, tonight, I don't know. I don't know if you could say at this rate it would be tonight, because even if it were to continue up like this, we're still talking a few days most likely. But if we were to continue at the rate that we've been on, more or less since the beginning of October, which again is a big if. It's a big if. We kind of oscillate around this line for now. That would get us there, maybe even early December if this rate continues. Now, obviously, the rate could accelerate and go up, or it could decelerate and come down, right? But at this rate, at the rate we've been going for the last month and a half, if that rate continues, where we have like a parabolic move and then sideways, right, and then a parabolic move and then sideways, and then kind of a parabolic move, sideways-ish, downish. If we have a parabolic move and then sideways, something like this, then I think it could be December, but again it could be earlier if people really start to FOMO in and the market just gets incredibly ridiculous in the short term. Someone says, "Are you selling now, or have you understood that we're not in a bubble yet?" That's a very strange comment. Hey, don't spam the chat. Don't spam the chat. Yeah, if you guys do want to check out the premium list, I have the risk levels there. That's what I use to trade. So you can check that out at intothecryptoverse.com. You'll get access to the weekly reports, weekly videos, risk dashboard, alerts channel, and some of the TradingView indicators. So you guys can check that out if you want to join that. I'm just want to watch to see if Bitcoin's breaking through 17.5 here. We're at 17.474 right now. We'll see if it does it. Remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. It helps me a lot. I'm actually curious how much these moves have been. I mean, again, short-term moves are unpredictable. I don't think we can take too much from this, but I'm just measuring these to see if it were to repeat where we might go. So if we were to go up, say, 20% from that local bottom, it could theoretically take us to 19K or something. Not today, likely, but I'm just looking at that trend, right? This one. Glad you like the videos. Again, guys, this type of movement will likely cause Ethereum Bitcoin ratio to bleed. Doesn't matter. Does not matter that Ethereum's at 477. The ratio is bleeding, right? And we want to see that turn around, and typically it doesn't turn around for a few more weeks. Yeah, we might have a day or two that's great, but over the weekly scale. Someone says, "Aren't you supposed to stop these runs with your stream?" I thought that was the case too, right? I thought my live streams were meant for halting these runs, but it doesn't seem like today that's happening. Actually, yesterday when I did the live stream, can anyone guess which hour my live stream was yesterday? In this region, I did a live stream. Which hour do you think my live stream was yesterday? Yeah, it was this one. We watched the price go from like 16.85 all the way down to like 16.5. We watched it like live on the stream. You know, we're getting close to let me switch this back out. Let's go to a daily time frame. We hit 17.5 for a second. We're getting close to that, like that. You guys remember that move we had at the end of the last, or was it? Yeah, we're actually right above it now. That bounce back we had, which is right here at 17.2. So we're actually slightly above that. Let's look at the weekly time frame. Not sure why I did that. Yeah, you can see that was the wick, the wick we had. It was kind of like a dead cat bounce that took us back. So it was like it went to 20K, it came down to 10K, and then it bounced back up to like 17K. So you can see we're right around that level, just slightly above it actually. Thomas says, can you explain how it's possible the price is the same on every exchange at the same time? Is it possible to have the price pushing and cracking to 18K and going down at the same time to 16K in Coinbase? No, I mean, not practically speaking, right? You're going to get arbitrage. People, the market in some, with some regards is efficient. If I can buy Bitcoin at one exchange and sell it at another exchange for $2,000 higher, the market will just arbitrage that away. So, in fact, the spread will when you see the spread increase a lot, like if as the bubble gets larger and larger, you'll see the spread increase more and more, and that typically helps identify when it's getting really overextended, when the spread is going crazy, and you're buying Bitcoin for several $100s higher on some exchange than another exchange. And we have to say, and I shouldn't say absolutes, we should say like percentage points, right? If it's if you can buy it for a significant percentage less than at some exchange than the other, and it's not being arbitraged away immediately, then that could be a sign that the local top is in. People are asking if they should sell all their Bitcoin. Guys, I'm never an all-in or all-out kind of person. Remember, I mean, you guys, we talked about the risk metric before. It's never an all-in or all-out view, right? It's a slow move, and for the most part, yeah, we are. I do think, to answer someone's question who's spamming the chat, I do think we are in a mini bubble. I do think it would be healthy for us to correct back down at some point, but. Let me see. What was the question again? Yeah, so I do think it is somewhat, but you have to consider that it's like a slow move, right? It's not necessarily like all or nothing. Someone says XMR analysis was wrong. Why did it not continue to rise? I don't know what you're talking about, man. We were buying it at like $80. I haven't even checked. Where is Monero right now? It's at 120. So yeah, I mean, so it's still pretty far up from where it was when we first started talking about it, and I think we started talking about it back in August or September, I want to say. Let me check to see if we go to the daily time frame. We started talking about it over in this range. So it was around $90. It came down to 80. It's now at 121. I still think it's doing fairly okay. It's bled against Bitcoin recently, but that's just because Bitcoin decided to go on its own run, which we said if Bitcoin moves up, if Bitcoin gets super volatile, Monero will likely bleed against it. So I'm not sure what you mean. We're still up from when we talked about Monero the first few times on the channel at 80 or say at $93 or so. We're still up like 30%. And again, most alts will bleed against Bitcoin during this time. The same thing goes for Ethereum. Whatever coin it is, most alts will bleed against it. So someone asked if I'm a fan of Chainlink. Yeah, we have a whole Chainlink playlist, my friend. Link is like king of the altcoins, right? The I mean, Link is one I love. I absolutely love to ride those bubbles against Ethereum and the bubbles against Bitcoin. Who doesn't like Chainlink? I mean, do you like Chainlink? Who likes Chainlink in the chat, right? I imagine most people that follow me like Chainlink because I talk about it a lot. So I imagine I appeal to people the coins I talk about. Some people say they hate Link. I mean, do you hate money? I mean, you could have bought Link for like less than $2 in March, and now after a pullback, it's like $12 or $13. So I'm not really sure what there's not to like about it. I did not say $1,000 Link. I did a video where we investigated whether it was a possibility this market cycle. Yeah, it looks like we broke through 17.5. Remember, if you guys enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to 50,000 subscribers, so help me get there. Maybe we'll get to 50,000 subs before Bitcoin gets to 20K. Yeah, guys, we've looked at Ethereum. But again, it's so what, right? It's not going up because of its own accord. It's going up because Bitcoin's dragging it. The Ethereum Bitcoin ratio is still bleeding over the weekly scale. Okay? So this is likely not going to turn around in the immediate future on a weekly time frame. All eyes are on Bitcoin, I think. You guys think we're going to go through 17.6? Yeah, Abed says, Ben, so apparently we were talking about this earlier, so maybe you're confirming it. So he's saying apparently the 17,500 level coincides with the market cap at Bitcoin, where only 3 days has the market cap been higher than right now in history. So yeah, we are flirting with history in terms of an all-time high in market cap, because despite the fact that we're lower than the prior all-time high, the supply of Bitcoin is greater than it was 3 years ago. So the market cap, we're flirting with prior all-time highs in the market cap. No, we don't do super chats on the channel, right? We don't do super chats. We don't do paid promotions here. Any coin I talk about, I've not been paid to talk about it, and we also do not do AdSense. No ads, none of that. If you guys want to support the channel, I would recommend signing up for the premium list into thecryptoverse.com for the weekly reports, weekly videos, alerts channel, risk dashboard, and some of the trading view indicators. If that's not your thing, fine. Just support the channel by subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. It goes a long ways, right? I mean, it goes a long ways for me just to see you guys subscribe and enjoy the videos. You know, the funny thing, right, is imagine this scenario, right? Imagine Bitcoin retraces. Imagine it goes to like 18K and then retraces. Then everyone's gonna say, oh, well, it was due for a correction, right? Or if it goes to 20K and then retraces, it's gonna be, well, it makes sense. But when it happens, when it's at 18K or when it's at 20K, there's also going to be a lot of people before the retracement saying, oh, this is the time to buy. This is the time to buy. The minute it corrects, then everyone's going to say, oh, well, why'd you buy at that point? Remember, you don't chase the pump. Never, in my opinion, not financial advice, I would never chase a pump. You're buying the asset, back during a good time to buy the asset in these, when the risk on it is relatively low, or when we're within, say, like our regression band, like this, right? I don't know why these random lines are still here, but you buy it when the risk is low, or when we're in this our fair value accumulation band. You don't chase the pump, though. You do not chase the pump. It doesn't mean you can't make money chasing it, right? People make money chasing pumps all the time, but you can also make money gambling too. It's not an investment at this point. It's a pure short-term speculative play, because we're up like 75% in like 5 or 6 weeks. Someone asked to pull up the monthly time frame. Sure, we'll pull up the monthly time frame. Here we are. Looks pretty nice. Let's pull up the 2-month time frame. Actually, probably should look at it on the BLX though, because it actually goes back. So here's the 2-month time frame. Whoops. Sorry, I'm just getting rid of some of these lines so you guys can more easily see what's going on. Here's the 2-month time frame. Let's see where we are. We're here. Getting close to that top wick. I mean, who among us does not want to be part of this trend, right? I mean, this is an amazing trend. And that's why we made so many videos in this region talking about this trend, and we're going to exit the band eventually, and we did. All right, let's keep ramping it up. Let's look at the 3-month time frame. Here's the 3-month time frame. So these are 3-month candles. I'll just delete some of these lines. So these are 3-month candles here. This is our third, so this was green, green, green. You can see the last bull market we started red, green, red, green, red, and then the last 5 were green. So red, green, red, green, red, green, 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 green. Those were the last. These are 3-month candles. So far, we've had green, green, green. So just a huge pump, right? A huge pump. Let's also take a look at 6-month candles. Here's 6-month candles. So green, red, green. That was the first market. And then we just had green, 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 green. So 4 greens in a row. Then we had three reds. This one was 5 greens in a row. So so the first cycle was this was the first cycle, so 1 green. The next one was 4 greens, so that was 4 6-month green candles. This cycle was 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had 1 green 6-month candle, then 4, then 5. Maybe this one will be, I don't know, maybe it'll be more. We look at yearly candles. These are yearly candles. So up and back. Up and back. What do you guys think comes after that? I don't know, maybe up. Maybe not that high up, but these are yearly candles. I think the 2-month candles look pretty nice. I mean, if you look at the last market cycle, most of the candles starting from September of 2015 were green. All the 2-month candles. This is actually pretty interesting. If you look, the last market cycle, so starting from September of 2015, which, by the way, remember, if you go back to the last market cycle and look at the weekly time frame, what happened September of 2015? Well, it was September of 2015 is here. So Bitcoin got above the 20-week moving average in October of 2015 and did not break it as support on the weekly time frame for like the next 2 years. Okay, so if you go back and look here, once we got to September of 2015, we had nothing but green 2-month candles until the peak, except for the one in July of 2016, which would have spanned 2 months. So maybe July and August. And we had, let's count them. Let's count how many green candles did we have once we held the 20 weeks. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Here we actually broke the 20 week right here, but because of this wick and the fact that this is called something, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a turnaround point, though. Typically speaking, I don't really talk about traditional TA, but this one is you can see we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at least so far, and then this one we had a lot more than that before the peak of the cycle. So those are 2-month candles, and then those 6-month candles I think are even more interesting. So the first market we had 1, the second we had 4, this one we had 5. Currently we're in the second one, which will take us till the end of the year. Someone said it's called a spinning top. Okay. I couldn't remember what it's called. Okay, so I guess this is called, I wasn't sure what it's called, but you said a spinning top, so I'll take your word for it. I knew it had a name. Yeah, we're at 17.6. Alright guys, things are getting crazy now. Sorry, I lost connection for a second, but I'm back. I'm back. Don't worry, I'm back. I'm here. I had to change tabs for a minute. It was very important. All right, we'll see how high it goes. Make sure you subscribe. Let's get to 50,000. I've never had this many people watching the stream at once. Am I still going? I think I'm still going. I've never had 1,600 people. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you guys enjoy the content. Yeah, it looks like my stream might be buffering a little bit, probably because of like it's freaking out here. 17.7. Yeah, this is where it can get crazy. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Maybe that'll push it past 18K. We're getting hot. It's getting hot in here, guys. That was pretty crazy. Sorry, I'm just enjoying watching the price. And you notice too, this is going up. Ethereum isn't doing much of anything, right? Remember, Ethereum, the move doesn't happen likely for a few more weeks, most likely. I'm not trying to time that move. I'm still buying Ethereum now, but I would not expect a major Ethereum move against Bitcoin to happen in the short term. Back to 17.7. Someone says he thumbs up with 3 different accounts. I appreciate that. I don't have any thoughts on Yearn, sorry. So many of my streams are met with sideways movement or the price going down. So it's exciting to do a stream and watch the price rally. But yeah, guys, yeah, if you're wondering if something like this is sustainable, most likely not. It like in the future, is the price of Bitcoin going to always in the future from henceforth be higher than $17,700 or $17,600? The probability of that is insanely low, that it never goes down below this price. Now, these could be famous words if it doesn't, right? Because then you guys can make fun of me and say, yeah, guys, remember that time Ben said it would never go below, or it would go back below 17.7 or 17.6, and it didn't. But practically speaking, this is insane, right? It's insane. You guys, I mean, if you guys know, you guys follow the channel, I have a lot of bullish predictions. I think Bitcoin will go to 100K over the next few years, but the rate at which we're moving right now is just absolutely absurd. We've seen it before, but we've also seen it correct before. So just keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind when you're following what's going on, what's happening and stuff. Remember that it's great for Bitcoin. It's great to see it go up. We all want to see it go up. We're here most likely because we think it's going to go up over the long term. But let's also be a little bit pragmatic and say, you know what, it can get overextended at times, and that's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. It just means that Bitcoin goes through short-term bubbles. And I don't when I say bubble, I don't mean the major bubble. This is not a major bubble, but it's a mini bubble. Like we had mini bubbles last market cycle that went above the 20-week. Basically the same amount, right? I mean, we're currently at this one was about 65-66% above the 20-week. This one was also above it by about the same amount. We've had a lot of moves that were above it by about 65% before a retracement. That's where we currently are. I'm not saying we're going to retrace here, but we're actually no, we're not there yet. We're only at like 45% above. Actually, let me measure it a little bit closer. So down to the 20-week, and then up. Yeah, we're flirting with around 50%. So if we were to extend this out to 60%, as we showed earlier in the stream, it would get us closer to 19K if it were about 60% above it. Hey, look, it's already back below 17.5. That was quick. It's hot. This is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7th weekly candle in a row of it going up. We had pretty impressive moves like that last cycle. I mean, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one was 8 in a row. Haven't had very many that were this long though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, we're in the 7th one now. Wow, almost 1,800 viewers. Hey, have you guys noticed that the amount of viewers is about 1 order of magnitude below the price of Bitcoin? Some would say that's a coincidence. Some would say it's not. Asian Punk 28 says Ben's next live stream. Man, I wish I would have sold Bitcoin before Christmas. I'm curious what gives you the impression that I'm not selling Bitcoin. Remember, I use the risk metric, and all of my orders are already lined up. I don't leave them for the live stream. Yeah, you have to consider that it's programmed in, right? I mean, I know how to program. Coding is very useful in these markets because otherwise you have to like wake up at 3 in the morning to execute a trade. $1,800 people viewing. Wow, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 50,000 subscribers. I think we're currently at 49,400. Actually, let me check to see where we are because I'm curious, like with all these people viewing. We're still at 49,578. So we still have a ways to go to get to 50,000 subs, but I think we can get there. We need another 400 or so. So if everyone in the stream subscribed that isn't already subscribed, we would probably get there. Yeah, if you're a coder, you guys know this, right? I mean, this is algorithmic trading is what most people use. Yeah, I use Python. So my PhD was in nuclear engineering, and I mainly used Python. I also know C++. I use MATLAB sometimes. Back in the day, I used Fortran a little bit, but thankfully I don't use that anymore. But yeah, mostly Python for this stuff. The 20-week moving average, according to this exchange, is 11,900. I just answered the 20-week. It's at 11.9 according to this exchange. Let's see where we go. We're at 17.5. I mean, it could go higher. Note, Ethereum is not keeping up, which is exactly what we would expect, right? The ratio will bleed as long as Bitcoin remains volatile. And again, the move typically does not happen until like sometime in late December or January, February. That's why buying Ethereum with Bitcoin in December tends to be a really good thing, because if you focused on Bitcoin, and then you convert a lot of that to Ethereum, it tends to be a pretty good buy, historically speaking, which is only another 2 weeks away. I'm not saying you should try to time that. I mean, I'm already accumulating Ethereum, but it's just something to note. Someone says, why do you need to use programming? Surely you just put a sell order on exchange for the price you want. Well, it depends, right? I mean, it depends on what the risk levels are that I use, right? It depends on what the valuation is, right? If you're trading to USD, if you're trading to a different crypto, there's a lot of caveats with it, right? I mean, things change on on an hourly basis. VA Trader says Ethereum's still up versus USD, but we are better than that. That's what we said, right? We're better than that. We don't care. Do we care if Ethereum's up against USD? No, because Bitcoin's up way more in recent weeks, and what we want to see is this turnaround. By the way, I do think this is going to have a major turnaround over the next few months. Okay, I do, and it's going to be a very exciting time, I think, when that happens. But for now, we need to be, again, pragmatic and say Bitcoin is the market mover. That's where the volatility is. It's at 17.5. That's where the market's going to look. KR says, should we be buying now? I don't know about Bitcoin. I mean, it's up like 75% in recent weeks. Like, I would not chase a pump. Remember, if you guys do want access to the premium list, you can check it out at intothecryptoverse.com. You get access to the weekly reports, the weekly videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, and some of the trading view indicators. So if you guys want access to that, you can sign up for that. We do not run paid promotions here. We have never had a paid promotion. We do not have AdSense enabled. We do not have Super Chat enabled. We want to keep the chat clean. And keep it focused on the markets and not have any paid shills in the chat. So this is what we focus on. This is why the main channel is about Bitcoin and Ethereum. The main four, right, that I use are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA, and DOT. I said before, and I've said for months now, DOT I think has a role to play this market cycle. So I don't do many videos on it. I think I've only had like 1 or 2 videos on it, but it's because there's not enough data. But I would at least, if you haven't looked at it, look at Polkadot. If you haven't looked at it yet. I think I'm back. Hopefully I'm back. I think the stream is back. I was a little worried that we were lost Yeah, the stream almost died. Yeah, can we get to 1,000 likes? This will be like the fifth time, the fourth or fifth time of getting to 1,000 likes. Let's get to 1,000 likes if we can. The viewer to like ratio is pretty bad. There's like twice as many viewers as likes. There we are, over 1,000. Bitcoin's at 17.5. I know a like is a lot to ask, right? It's a ton to ask because you have to like lift your hand up, then you have to like go to the mouse pad or the mouse, and then you have to like aggressively scroll the mouse to the like button, and then you have to click the like button. I mean, I know I'm asking a lot. Like that's asking a ton. So I understand the reasons behind not wanting to do it because it takes a significant amount of effort. And the like button should not be confused with the dislike button. They are very close to one another, but they should not be confused. Yeah, if you want to dislike the video, you have to click it twice. But in all seriousness, I do appreciate the likes and you guys subscribing to the channel. It looks like at least for the last 15 minutes or so, Bitcoin has cooled off to around 17.5. Yeah, I mean, if people genuinely don't like the video, then you can dislike it. It's fine, right? I don't really care. Honestly, I'm not sure how the algorithm works, but I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if dislikes necessarily counted against you. They might, but I think because it's getting some engagement, it still might be okay. I mean, obviously likes are theoretically better, but I'm not really sure how that works. Yeah, I think dislikes are probably better than no likes because no likes is basically like no engagement. All right, we're still at 17.5. Yeah, I mean, you guys can probably hear the kids in the background. They probably saw the XRP tab up over here, the XRP Bitcoin tab. So let me go ahead and close that because I don't want them crying anymore. Um, I was hoping to see this go to 18K during the stream, but I don't know if we're going to make it. And we're getting close to the 2-hour mark, so... Is my camera blurry? I don't know. Maybe reload the stream if it is. I think I'm starting to buffer some. Um, I feel like the stream is going in and out. Yeah, I think it is lagging. Well, I mean, Ethereum it's pretty much humdrum at this point, guys. I wouldn't expect a huge breakout. Yeah, you can have a 10% day here or there. No one cares about that. Let's keep an eye on this over the next few weeks because we would expect a turnaround point of the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. Typically, it doesn't happen till sometime late December, sometimes January or February. But I would expect this to turn around at some point. The key thing is going to watch to see if Bitcoin can chill out. And as long as it doesn't chill out, I would not expect Ethereum and Bitcoin to do anything remarkable except go sideways or down. And you can see that we have been trending down over the last few months. So I don't expect that to change in the short term. And taking a look at Bitcoin, we're still at 17.5. I think the stream is the quality of the stream is going down. I'm not sure if it's my internet connection or what, but it looks like it's starting to lag a bit. So I'll just remind you that if you guys do like the content, before I sign off, I'll probably be signing off here in a second. If you guys do like the content, remember to check out the premium list into thecryptoverse.com if you guys want to know what I'm doing in the markets and want access to the risk dashboard, etc. And also, if you guys want to continue the chat and you don't want to finish the chat because the live stream ends, remember we have a public Telegram channel that I'm going to post in the chat. So you guys can check out the public Telegram channel if you guys want to continue the chat. We're getting close to 8,000 people. We currently have 7,792 people. So make sure you check out the Telegram channel if you guys are wanting access to a community there. I think that's mostly it. I mean, yeah, Bitcoin is at 17.5. I mean, are there any last questions before I sign off? Yeah, we can quickly take a look at Link Bitcoin. So it looks like we are basically, so this was a 42% below the 20-week. Here was 25% below. Here we are about 25% below, 26% below. We've been here before many times. It's not that big of a deal. Here it is on a auto scale. So this is auto. And then here it is on a log. So business as usual with Link, I think. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 50,000 subs. Give the video a thumbs up. We've been going for almost 2 hours. You guys know the drill. Bitcoin's at 17.5. We'll tune in. We'll continue to tune in regularly and see what's going on. That'll wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.